Then he continues, ಕ್ಷಣಾದ ನಿರ್ಧಾರ್ಯ ನಿದಾನ ಭೇದಂ ದತ್ತಾಪಹಾಸೈರ್ವನ ದೇವತಾಭಿಃ ಮೃಗಾಯಿತಂ ತತ್ರ ಮೃಗೇಂದ್ರ ಮುಖ್ಯೈಃ ಸಿಂಹಾಯಿತಂ ಗೋಕುಲ ಸಾರಮೇಯೈಃ. In Gokulam Vrindavana region, Sarameyahi. Can you tell what Sarameya is? Shunaha. Dogs. Dogs became like real lions. You know what is a dog called? Very good. Grama Simham became like a Simham. See, dogs are called by a name called Grama Simham. For the village, they are the Simhams. Okay. So essentially, if someone introduces you, he is the Grama Simham. Okay, now you should not be carried away by the last two letters, Simham. Simham. Grama Simham means dog. He's calling you a dog. But he's fully sure that you don't know Sanskritam. I am Grama Simha. Ham. You say. So, Grama Simham became the Simham, it seems. When Krishna went around, he was able to induce and inspire so much of valor that the dogs became real Simham. And real Simhams became like Grama Simham. Now, they lost all their wildness and they would wag their tail and come. Imagine one large lion coming wagging its tail. So, that's how it used to happen. This is a beautiful shloka. Gunja kalapa प्रतिनद्वकेशैर् आगुल्फ मालंबित पिंचजालैः निषङ्गिभिश्चारुपृषत्कचापैर्गुप्तो बभौ गोपसुतैर्मुकुन्दः. Krishna, who used to walk on these lands of Vrindavanam, was surrounded by his friends, Gopakumaras, who used to have gunja. See, this gunja is something like kundamani. Ketutundo, Kundamani, when you go to Guruvayur, outside that Ambalam, near those two tusks of Keshavan, you'll have one big thali full of Kundamani. You'll have to pray to that Kundamani and then look at Krishna and say, take away my toothache. Take away. You will have one list of aches, right? Whatever you have, Kundamani, edutho. So you have to pray to that. Kundamani will go and convey. How is Kundamani so close? Gunjabadham murasi lalitam dharayan harayashtim Gopastrinam Jayati Kitavaha Kopikaumarahari, bright red, pitch black. Both of them will be in the same gem, right? Black and red. What a color combination for the Tamil Nadu state, right? Black and red. Now, it has that black and red. And imagine Krishna is dark. Now, he will be decorated with that Gunjamani. But if you decorate him with that, you will see alternating black and red colors. So it will appear as if only the red is visible. So what this boy did was to take a lot of pearls and they would cover it and they would go around him. So he says, Nishangibhis charu prishat kachapair gupto bhavau gopasutair mukundaha. And he continued. Now, this is another beautiful shloka. Navahritair natha parishkriyarham gunjasrajam gopakumara veeraha vibhranvayan dvipakumbha muktair mukta phalair antarayababhuvuhu. So he says mukta. Now the pearls would be accumulated and would be placed between those strings of red and alternating black gunja letters, gunja beads, to add more beauty to Krishna. Then he continues, Sharahatanam vipine mriganam adra hritais charmabhirrata harshaha akalpayan astaranani gopaha samveshya yogyani sahayininam. Now after the hunt, whichever animals were killed, see, when you go to some of the western countries, you will see a lot of animals killed on the roads. They are called road kills. So, such animals which were killed in the hunting process, their hides will be taken by the Gopakumaras and they would go by sizes, it seems. Like how when you go to a bedsheet shop, he will ask king size or queen size. So they used to take it based on their Dampati size and used to spread on the ground and then sleep, it seems, says Vedanta Desika. Can animal hides be used to be? Can we use them? For grihasthas, the recommended skin in those days used to be the tiger skin. Because a grihastha is supposed to pounce like a tiger. He has to be bright. Tiger, burning bright in the forest. Have you heard of this poem called Of the Night? Tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. So you need the tiger skin. Whereas for a sannyasi, you have to give the deer skin. Because what will the sannyasi do by pouncing like a lion? He has to be very quiet like a deer. So you have to give him a deer skin. So there has been a practice in ancient Bharatam to use the animal hides. When Hanuman, many of you will be Sundarakanda Parayana experts, right? You will be clearing the doubts of Valmiki as well. So how many of you have recited Sundarakandam? If you ask a question, we will not raise our hands. Right. So in Sundarakandam, when Hanuman visits Ravana's suite, Antavpuram, on the bed, he sees a lot of Ashoka Pushpam, because Lanka gets earlier spring than Bharatam. And those Ashoka flowers were placed on the bed, and on the bed was an animal skin. Can you tell me which animal? It is there in Sundarakandam. You have all read many times. Sir. What is this test? Who is trying to build the cat here? No. So it is a sheep skin. A sheep skin was placed, and on that were Ashoka flowers, says Valmiki. So here, those animals which were hunted and those animals which were lying on the streets, their hides were taken, washed, dried under the sun, and based on sizes, the couples took them to their houses, it seems. Now, he says, from the Vasanta Ritu, Grishma Ritu, now the time is advancing towards the Dakshinayana Punyakalam. Dakshinayana Punyakalam, he says, Disham samakramya karai rudichim deve ravau dakshinataha pravritte. Now Dakshinayanam has begun. Nidakla kluptriya nigrihita deham vrishtim puna srashtumiyesha shaurihi. Now Krishna, in order to shower the rains, use this season, because that is why Andal says in the 4th Pasuram, ஆழிமழை கண்ணா ஒன்று நீ கைகரவேல் ஆழி உள்புக்கு முகர்ந்து கொடார்த்து ஏரி ஊழி முதல்வன் உருவம் போல் மெய் கருத்து பாழி தோளுடைய தோள் means handsome shoulders, தோளுடைய பற்பனாபன் கையில். You should never say Padmanaban, because in Prachina Tamil you never had the word Padma. பற்பனாபன் கையில் ஆழி போல் மின்னி வலம்புரி போல் நின்று அதிர்ந்து தாழாதே ஷார்ங்கம் உதைத்த ஷரமழை போல் வாழ உலகினில். So using Bhagavan's Ayudham, he explains torrential rain. Similarly, when Dakshinayanam had begun, it started raining. Now, what happened during the rains? He continues. Kadamba Shakam. This is another beautiful shloka. I'm sure people who have learnt dance, who teach dance, will appreciate this. Mridanga dhira stanito vihaya sauda mani sambhrita charulasyaha babhau navanam prabhavo rasanam ratif priyasyeva natasya rangaha. Now the entire sky appeared like the stage of a dancer. Then he continues, Saudamani Sambhrita Charulasyaha. Now, the lightning that strikes in the sky amidst those clouds is the dance of the dancer. Then he continues that as there would be the thunderous sound that appeared like the Mridanga Nadam, and the raindrops that came as a result of the thunder and the lightning and the rains and the precipitation appeared like Shringarapi, the Navarasas of the Natya Shastram. See, what does this signify? Natyam, Sangeetam are essential components of our dharma. I'm sure age is no restriction. If you have wanted to learn dance in your childhood, but for circumstances best known to you, best known to your parents, you were never able to learn, it is never late. Begin. Never late. Geetam and Natyam, yes, your body may not be as flexible as a young girl or a boy, but learn. Why? Because you don't become a dancer, you don't learn dance first of all to say that I need to receive this particular award, so I will become a dancer. First, you should become a dancer to bring discipline in your lives. Geetam and Natyam brings discipline. Discipline is extremely important. When you practice day in and day out, that makes you a disciplined person. That's the first aim. So Natyam is extremely important. Now imagine a traditional orthodox Achara Sheela poet called Vedanta Desika knows so much about dance. Navanita Natyam. He describes how Krishna danced. He describes how Shiva danced. He described how Krishna danced on Kaliya. Why? Because no art form is mutually exclusive from dharma. All these art forms of music and dance are rooted in dharma. So it's extremely important that you learn, appreciate dance and music. You also facilitate the process for your children and grandchildren. If at all you can bring some positive influence in the lives of your children and grandchildren, besides their usual academic rigmarole exercise, please introduce Natyam and Sangeetam. Because I often, when I'm told by some people that, oh, I just can't understand music, I just can't understand dance, I feel very sorry for them. Because they're missing something very essential in their lives. Something that their hands can do, something that their voice can do, they are not able to appreciate. So forget about singing and dancing. Even to appreciate dance and music, you should be blessed enough. Yeah, when someone plays that Kannada ragam, your ears should be Sheviyattag illave, like the cows. Oh, somewhere it is being played. Enna vasikkirar? ஒரே மாதிரி தான் இருக்கு இல்லையா, ஒரே மாதிரி தான் இருக்கு, பாவம் என்ன பாவம் பண்ணியிருக்காளோ இல்லையா. டு அப்ரிஷியேட் மியூசிக் அண்ட் டான்ஸ் ஆல்சோ யூ நீட் பகவத் அனுகிரகம். See, only then you can appreciate that. So when Vedanta Desika brings in dance references in his poem, we should first understand an orthodox poet is bringing dance because dance is an art. It is an art to appreciate. So he says it is like a natyam. This is another beautiful shloka. Itastataf prapta sharadviharam gopi sakham drashtumativa harshat ashobhi netrairiva jrumbhamanaihi shirnair-dharitri shikhinam kalapaihi. Now after the rainy season, Varsha Ritu, comes autumn season. Now like the leaves that fall from the trees and the branches, even the peacocks, remember this is another important point. Dancers make this mistake. Peacock is male or female? Male. But we have always believed in Natya Shastram, or anything for that matter, that anything beautiful has to be associated only with the woman. It is the male bird which is so beautiful. The peahen paavama irukum. But the peacock will dance to impress on that peahen. What to do? Now, but in dance alone, the peacock has to be a she. Madhavi பொன்மயிலாள் தோகை விரித்தாள். மாதவி எங்க? கோவலம் தான் தோகை விரிக்கணும். மாதவி பொன்மயிலாள் தோகை விரித்தாள் அப்படின்னா எங்க மாதவி எங்க தோகை வந்தது? Somehow this is another thing, because that's our convention that anything beautiful has to go with the woman. Now, like the trees that would shed their leaves in the autumn, even the peacocks started shedding their thick feathers. So those feathers fell here and there on Mother Earth. For a moment, Vedanta Desika says, Mother Earth appeared as if she had got many pairs of eyes. So it appeared that Mother Earth had many eyes on the ground with all the peacock feathers strewn. Now, there is another charitram. This I wanted to tell you. People ask, how did Krishna receive those feathers? Those feathers were not there when he was born in Mathura jail. How did he suddenly get them? The general folklore that is associated is a very simple one. He had chikuram bahulam. He had hair that used to curl up. And I'm sure some of you will have curly hair, some of your children will have curly hair, and the biggest problem is to tie the hair up. If you have curly hair, parents will have a tough time to bind them together. So they needed a clip. So it is simply said in folklore, in Aitihiyam, that Yashoda saw one of the feathers that was shed by the peacock as he was walking on the grounds of Gokulam, took that feather as a stopgap solution for that curly hair. She did not imagine, she was not one of those architects or model house. If we would put it here, can you imagine how beautiful it would look? No, she didn't give these statements. She just took that feather, stopgap solution, she inserted it. I'm sure you get those clips right. It will look like an oval. It will have two holes. The second shop in Pondi Bazaar. You will have to put that rod within and it will hold the hair. So she held Krishna's curly hair tresses as a bunch, and then she inserted that peacock's hair and gave a sigh of relief, and she said, I found a solution. Krishna turned. And that stopgap solution worked so well that she thought, I should adorn his hair tresses with these peacock feathers every day. So that's the thing associated with it. So he says, Ashobhi netrairiva jrumbhamanaihi, netrairiva jrumbhamanaihi. It appeared as if the eyes had come for Bhuma Devi, he says, and then continues, Adho mukhaischa pratibimba rupair abhyunna natair atma bhirabhyapash abhyashamsan trivikramasya sthitamunnatam cha padadvayam pathasi raktapadmaha adhomukaischa pratibimba rupai adhomukaha. Now, there is a beautiful red lotus with a long stalk rising from the waters of the lake. As the sun's rays would come, the reflection of the red lotus will fall into the waters. So you will see a stalk and the flower, and the reflection of the stalk and the flower. For a moment it looked, says Vedanta Desika, as if Trivikrama in his avataram was touching the upper worlds with one foot and was touching the nether worlds with the other foot. See, all this is poetry. Now I've told you at the start, I gave you a caveat. I said, to appreciate poetry, you should have read poetry. Then only you'll be able to appreciate. Otherwise, you'll just say, he could have just said, first came the winter season, first came the spring season, followed by the summer, followed by then where will you become a poet? Right? Madurayil paranda meen kodiyai un kangalil kandene. The man is looking at the woman. He's looking at her eyes. What he can, after all, say, nice eyes, that's all. Madurayil paranda meen kodiyai. How meen kodiyai? Un kangalil kandene. Oh, then she'll say, oh, are my eyes like that? Seran poril Madurayil paranda meen kodiyai un kangalil kandene. Poril pudumaigal purinda Seran villai un puruvatil kandene. Tanjayil paranda pulikkodiyai un penmayil kandene. It is a very strong one. Ivai moondrum சேர்ந்து மொத்தமா தோன்றும் உன்னை தமிழகம் என்றேனே. I think everybody. See, will you be talking like this in your household? Or will people tolerate you when you do like this? Yeah. வசந்தமுல்லை போலே வந்து அசைந்து ஆடும் வெண்புறாவை. யார் ஏதோ மாமியை பார்த்து இவர் சொல்றார் இல்லையா? So you don't talk like this. But in poetry, you have to be appreciative and you'll have to make small things look big. That is poetry. Now you cannot say, oh, peacock feathers were on the ground. How can they look like eyes? That is poetry. See, if you can't appreciate that, then you can never appreciate poetry. Now, this is what Vedanta Desika says, and he has to conclude soon because he has a long day tomorrow. Samudyata stigma rucho ghanabdher unnidratam purvamupajagama rathangapane sindhu janma sarojini charu sarojalakshya. Now, even before the sun rose amidst the clouds. So, samudyanta stigma rucho ghanabdher. So, like the sun, that before it emerges from the clouds, the lotus starts showing itself up. It starts blossoming. Before Bhagavan could open his eyes from Yoga Nidra, Mahalakshmi caught his lotus-like feet. That's a comparison. See, he tells you in two levels. One, how is nature? Even before the sun shows himself up amidst the clouds, the lotuses start knowing that the sun will rise soon and will slowly start blossoming. Similarly, Mahalakshmi knew that the eyes of Bhagavan from his Yoga Nidra will slowly open. Even before they could open, she left her lotuses from her hands and held his lotus feet, because Mahalakshmi has a vow. She will hold only the lotus. Padma Priya, Padma Hasta, Padmakshi, Padma Sundari, Padmodbhava, Padma Mukhi, Padmanabha Priyarama. So she is the lotus. She has lotuses. Her hands are like lotus. She will hold only the lotus. That is her sankalpam. Pidittal Tamarayaitan Pidipen. Now, I am telling you what Lakshmi says. Now, Lakshmi is holding the lotus. Now, when she is leaving the lotus and she has to hold the feet of Bhagavan, she is still holding the lotus. Because Padaravinde, Kararavindena, Padaravindam. Feet is like lotus. So, she has left the lotus and is holding the lotus. Why did she hold the lotus? Because she knew his eyes will open. So, as his eyes would open from the Yoga Nidra, she is welcoming him with the lotus feet, like how the lotuses blossom even before the sun could appear from the clouds, says Vedanta Desika. Now, he concludes this fifth sarga describing the seasons. Now, the sixth sarga is where we should continue, which is a beautiful sarga describing Govardhanodharanam. All that will happen tomorrow.